show you that suppose yesterday I was discussing this particular thing with you, how you can develop the tool for data collection. Having done hypothesis, I am just taking you to a small slide to show you. Here I am showing you one slide. I think this should give you a lot of clarity. I am showing you how the variables are drawn from the research problem. This was one of the questions I asked in LLM. I have given this table, and I was expecting the student to write 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4 of this. First I have given. I am using this template. So my research problem is, can you see this?
Yes.
My research problem is study of factors affecting litigation behavior. Suppose this is my problem. I have to develop a research question or a hypothesis. Yesterday you were asking, I have to develop both. I said you develop both if you are okay. So whether litigants get discouraged by peer pressure in litigation. This is my research question. Now research question is the source. So suppose the moment I say factors affecting the litigation behavior. So what makes a person to decide to litigate or not to litigate? This decision. So in my mind the question is that lot of people must be discouraged by the peer not to go to the court because it takes a lot of time, so they decide not to go. Yesterday Harish was saying something very important, that in this country we think we are too litigious a country, but we are not. Hardly 10% people are using court in this country. Hardly. Less than 10% people are using courts. Do you trust this? Hardly 10% people. And we think a lot of people are going to the courts. No. Lot of people are not going to the court. You read a paper, I think if it is not in your bunch, I'll send you. Eisenberg and Nick Robinson. Eisenberg and Nick Robinson have written a paper. This paper is available on the net. So they have written about the civil cases. Civil case litigation in India, tort litigation, is declining. What does it convey? Because in many society we think if litigation is increasing, we think it is an indicator of social pathology. We think the society is getting pathological. But Mark Galanter, Eisenberg, Nick Robinson, they are of the view that this is not indication of social, this is the indication of a social progress. People are going to the court to resolve their disputes. It is in no way an indicator of social pathology. It is the indicator of people's awareness to invoke the systems which are available. My point is here, so my hypothesis is, let us not get into that topic is different. So what is my research objective? To examine the role of peer pressure in the litigation decision. From this I have developed what is my unit of analysis? Nature and frequency of peer pressure undergone. How many times a person has faced such kind of pressure. From that I have developed the hypothesis, peer pressure on litigants is more when the matter involves rich and powerful as party. I have developed a variable, age of litigants and nature of pressure experience. So I will collect the data on the question of what is the age of litigants and the kind of pressure they experience. Now suppose I have to ask you to write second here and second here, what will be your second? Can you write? You have to write second, third, everything. In all the column you have to fill. Neha, लिख लोगे? कोर्स वर्क तो मैंने पढ़ा है। ये प्रॉब्लम है स्टूडेंट वाले बाकी तो कहेंगे आपने तो हमें बताया नहीं. So I want you to write second, and this is, as I said, this is 25 marks, 20 marks question in LLM. ये 25 marks का 20 marks का question है. LLM student is asked like this. But it is in no way lesser for you. आप अपने आप को उसमें वो मत पाए कि ये आपके लिए बहुत छोटी चीज है. Finish? अभी तो पेन भी नहीं खुला हुआ. You know, because why I have posed this template before you, you are bound to face this situation. In every research, whenever you decide to undertake a research, you have to pass through this process. You have to reach to your variable. So I have started from a research problem. I converted it into hypothesis and research question. I developed my hypothesis. I developed my research objectives. But then I am also moving on finding the variables. Now finding the variables is very important. Yesterday also I was saying, suppose you are in this kind of a study, you want to understand that how the litigants decide. How do they decide to litigate? Because in all civil matters, they may not necessarily be going to the court. Courts are not always invoked. You know, courts are not always invoked, despite having a problem. People may be having. In civil litigation, it is becoming true. Mark Gallatin has written an extensive article about India's civil litigation suits, and he is of the view that people tend to deter to go to the court, thinking that it will take years together in all kinds of matters, property matters, tort matters, civil matters, rent matters, matrimonial dispute, all kinds of things. Now my question is, in India we do not have any data on this, that what happens to the people when they try to invoke the court. So therefore you need to develop, like I have hypothesized one of the reasons being the peer pressure. What is your thing? Can we have somebody? Yes.
Sir, whether lack of financial resources is obstacle for litigants.
Likho. Whether
Lack of financial resources is obstacle for litigants.
Okay. Right.
Whether
What is the objective then?
to examine the impact of lack of financial resources on litigants.
Also examine the cause and effect relationship between economic status and behavior of litigants.
And what is your unit of analysis?
Service class or salary or businessman and income.
How many times or how many occasions did you face nature and frequency of peer? Sorry, we need to ask here, what is the unit, what data you will collect? You will have the economic status of the person, means income.
Income.
Income. Right? Then? So income would be an independent variable. So unit of analysis, the income of litigants. So whether there is a relationship between the income of the litigant and his decision to go to the court. Now they see, we are now, going into that kind of sphere where we are trying to be very, very micro. Now, litigation decision are to be taken to that micro level where we are only now having variables. One variable we are having like income, other is we are having decision to litigate. So whether, now the research question is, whether the income has anything to do with the litigation decision by a litigant. Right? So suppose hypothesis is, what is hypothesis?
Inadequate sources of income affects the behavior of litigation.
Discourages litigants to go to the court. So this is the, and what kind of variables you will have for collecting the data? We'll look at the salary, and
Stability of job.
kind of thing, and his litigation behavior. So this is how you have to develop this entire thing. Make a template. Now ultimately everything boils down to your tool. I am just taking you to the next level. Yesterday, did you recall I said a hypothesis is to be created. We discussed hypothesis at length. And again I am repeating that question, why the hypothesis was to be created? So that you know what kind of data would be required. Now is it clear from the hypothesis whether, so suppose your hypothesis must be informing you to go to a particular respondents, number one, and take the kind of data which is needed. So two things are becoming very important. Your hypothesis must guide these two things. The nature of respondents, who are the sources of your information, and also the type of information that you would draw from them.
सर इसको रिपीट करिएगा.
I am saying you must be knowing that your hypothesis will inform you that who are your sources of information. It is written in your hypothesis. Like you read this hypothesis. Does this hypothesis tell you who are the sources? Yeah, clearly. And what kind of information you will be collecting, because nobody will give you information. It is you who have to collect this information through a questionnaire, interview schedule, focused group discussion, scaling, whatever you do. That we will come to now. But I am saying something because I have seen some researches where you decide only two things, the title of your thesis and you start preparing your questionnaire. Now, before preparing the questionnaire, you are passing through all these stages because you need to identify the variables. Suppose this is my research, I am identifying, in the end I reach to the variable because you can collect information only on variables. Vague things like concept, like if I say, I have to collect information on corruption. No, you cannot collect information on corruption unless you translate corruption into measurable indicators and behavior. That is what I am trying to say since yesterday. That every time, okay, fine, in our conversation we will continue to use that terminology, corruption, justice, globalization, industrialization, this, that. Like very recently, health. In health sector we have reached to that level. Health is good. This is not enough. Now we are seeing BMI. What is BMI? Because that is measurable. वो आपका बता देंगे कि अगर आपकी BMI कितनी है तो आप फिटनेस के दायरे में है या नहीं है क्या. This is measurable. आपका हाइट और वेट की क्या connection है. Because health indicators, for health, because medical science need to understand what is weight. अब weight में कोई कहे आपका weight कितना है, क्या ठीक है weight? अब ठीक कुछ नहीं होता. You have to say that this is the weight, this is the height, and on the basis of that, they have calculated your BMI, and BMI has now become one of the very important indicators of kind of all diagnostic procedures there. Similarly, socioeconomic status. Now, socioeconomic status is no longer a kind of jargon. It is clearly your education, your income, all these things, and caste, and religion. These things taken together will become SEC, socioeconomic status, SEC. So I'm saying that every time, whenever you use a concept for your research, you have to take it, especially in empirical research, up to the level of variables. Because again I'm saying data can only be collected with respect to variables. I have given you the example of justice, social justice. These are big words. These are fine. They sound very sweet, but they become very difficult in research because you are very unsure whether have you done that or you have just touched them. As I said, rule of law. I have put lot of time, so many times this question to everybody. Rule of law so frequently we use, but rule of law we don't know. But you look at the World Justice Project, WJP. WJP आप सर्च करोगे इसमें आपको पूरा WJP इंडेक्स मिल जाएगा. World Justice Project में they have ranked the countries on the basis of their rule of law. So I'm saying this is possible. They have done it. You may question the methodology. Like the universities are ranked based on their performance. You know this QER or QES? QS. So they rank the university. So all the things are possible. Now I'm taking you to the questionnaire development, and then we can look at how the data can be processed in that way. So now you are understanding the need for a questionnaire is arising from the demand of the hypothesis. In other words, I am making a one-liner. Hypothesis poses the demand of data. एक ठीक सेंटेंस बन गया है ये. Hypothesis poses the requirement of data. In other words, hypothesis is a source of understanding the demand of data. You need to understand what is the demand of data in your research. Where do you read the demand of data? In hypothesis. If you read your hypothesis, you will understand the demand of the data. Now another question. If you satisfy your hypothesis, your research objectives would be, your research problem would be satisfied and your research objective would be satisfied. Why? Because you have derived your hypothesis from your research problem, from your objective. Because many times it happens that even though you address the hypothesis, but your research problem and objectives remain unaddressed. Reason being, you have not derived your hypothesis from the research problem or from the objective. So you have to make a connection between literature review, research problem, objective, hypothesis, and then questionnaire. So even while I read questionnaire or interview schedule, I can understand what must have been your objectives. I am actually cautioning you for one thing. Sometimes your questionnaire is collecting the data on something which you have not mentioned in your synopsis. It has no connection. Your objectives do not seem to be reflected there. So there is a disconnect which I often read. If you start reading this disconnect in research, you will grow wiser in terms of understanding the sync between these, components. Yes, please.
Sir, we've submitted a synopsis and there's a research problem in it. But then subsequently, in case if you're getting some kind of a literature, can we go back and modify that particular problem? Or
See, that is an administrative issue basically, whether your university allows the modification in synopsis or not. But ultimately, the reason is synopsis exercise itself must be given a lot of attention and time. Sometimes you have to submit and there is a deadline, so you just submit it. But later on, when you go to the library and do a little more, because for me, developing a synopsis needs a lot of time. At least 2 months you need, 3 months you need, because you need to read a lot to be able to pinpoint the issues that you intend to focus in your research. And in order to concretize it in terms of methodology, you need to look at all these problems which I am mentioning. So what I am saying, the key, again I am repeating, the key remains your ability to be narrow, your ability to be micro. If you keep the things very open, wide and vague, and you use the terminology very, very general, then ultimately you are going to loosen your grip. And that would be a disaster. Sometimes you are unable to defend your own research. It becomes a burden. Your own work become your own burden. You carry that burden with you throughout your life because PhD is something which you always carry. कई बार आपको अपने आप से नाराजगी हो जाती है कि मैंने ऐसा क्यों किया है? Why I have done that? You know, because you have to carry. I am telling you, you will sell your PhD throughout life. Sell means not literally sell, but you have to carry all the time your PhD or your LLM dissertation. If you have not done good in that, then it is the burden of your own misdeeds.
So for example, if we take this as the research question, whether delay in litigation deterres the litigants to approach the court of law. So would it be a very vague, would it be possible for us to draw the variable for this?
Yes. So if you
Time-
say, if
time-
I say, yes, very good question. So if you have posed this hypothesis that delay deters litigants to go to the court. Now what is delay? देखो अभी आपको मैजिक दिखा रहे हैं।
How to
Memo देना
quantify
पड़ता है।
time, then how?
हाँ, yes, please. You continue. Yeah.
How to relate? I was not able to.
Why not? देखो अभी actually these things have to reach to a level. As I said, delay means what? You have to quantify even delay before connecting it with the litigant. What is delay? So suppose what is the minimum time a court take and what is the maximum time a court may take in a civil case? Can you tell me? We need to know this because by reading the literature we find that what is the minimum time that the court, so up to 6 months you start with. So this is the lower threshold. In civil case, in general, suppose up to 6 months is one category. 7 months to, say, if I say 2 years. 3 years to 5 years. 5 years to 7 years and 8 years plus. Right? Delay. This could be the category 1, 2, 3, 4 and this could be the 5. If I say delay deters after sometime after 6 months the client stops going to the courts. If I say the client becomes frustrated if delay prolongs. So if I say, if I study 100 litigants and if I find 60% do not pursue their case beyond this threshold. Suppose, this is if I collect the data and if I find that out of this 100, 60% have stopped pursuing their case beyond this threshold. For me, the delay becomes quite critical after 5 years. In majority, so my finding would be, in majority of the cases where delay prolongs beyond 5 years, becomes a major deterrent for the litigants. Now you can bring many more things here. Now I say no, this is wrong. I contest, this is wrong. I said the educated litigants are more likely to pursue their cases than relatively uneducated. So educated, then I want to see whether this trend would change in accordance with the level of education of the people. So I have taken out of this 100, I find that those who were matriculate or higher graduate and above, they continued to pursue beyond 5 years. They continued to pursue up to 7 years. But those who were relatively illiterate, illiteracy would bring a kind of weakness or insecurity or kind of disempowerment. So if I say the people, so suppose my hypothesis was the people with lesser levels of educations are less likely to pursue their cases beyond 5 years. ये बिल्कुल क्वांटिटेटिव क्वेश्चन है, everything is written. I said relatively lesser educated. What is my definition of lesser educated? I say less than higher secondary. So my hypothesis is those who are relatively lesser educated, they are less likely to pursue their case beyond 2 years or 5 years. Now I can go, now this is my hypothesis. To verify this hypothesis, I have to collect the data according to the education level and their interest to pursue cases. I can collect it. How it happened? Because I have very clearly identified my type. Suppose I said no, this is not enough. I want to understand whether decision to pursue the case varies from their social background. So I find the people in rural area are more likely to pursue beyond 5 years as compared to urban areas. I can again collect the data. I say still this is not enough. Those who are rich enough, they will pursue. So rich. Now these are the variables which I am exploring. Means my hypothesis is decision to litigation would be impacted by a variety of factors, and all the factors I can discuss while I study the litigation. So now litigation is impacted by a variety of factors. We need to understand from this research that decision to litigate is something which is influenced by a variety of things. But again, I am repeating that you have to come down to that pinpoint. Like I said, delay. What is delay? A case which is there in court for more than 10 years would be a delayed case for you. Going by the Indian court's standard in civil and even criminal, 5-10 years is fine.
Some of the laws.
And you know, in Western world, they are surprised that when we say our fast track courts have come out with the decision, they say how many? I said 3 years. 3 years? Fast track? Where is the fast track? What kind of fast track is it? It took 3 years almost. You know? But it was a fast track. Fast track trial took 3 years. So what is the ordinary track? Ordinary track is just time unlimited. Yes. So that's what I am saying. When delay becomes a problem. So you need to define delay level 1, level 2, level 3. You can create your own definition. Suppose I classify the delay into 5 levels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One level is up to 1 year, second level is 2 to 5, 5, 10. So if I say level 4 delay, what is the impact of level 4 delay? What is the impact of level 3 delay? Whether you can do these things very easily. Very easily. But you have to be little. Anything on this? Yes? Now this is clear to you?
Sir,
Yes.
again, the criteria which you told, rich person may be pursuing more. But sir, rich again, for urban areas, rich maybe the one who is having income about 20 lakh or 50 lakh, and for urban area it may be 5 lakh. Sorry, rural area it may be 5 lakh.
So you define the rich, what is rich in your context. So suppose I am studying my research, I am doing in a small sub town or a small village in Rajasthan. My definition of rich in the context of that city would be very different from in metro city in Delhi, Bombay, Mumbai, Chennai or anywhere else. No? So we need to create this, that's what I am saying. Ability to create the operational definition for your research is something very important. Nobody stops you for doing that. You can say that these are the parameters I have created and I have collected my data accordingly. Yesterday I have shown you in Shaileshri Shankar's research, she has created a lot of data from the files and she has classified that data into various categories. And then, because if you keep classifying the data, it gives you opportunity to look into the finer versions of the issues involved.
And we can find it out from the income groups which we have specified, and from that we can deduce that these the litigants from these income groups or after this income group they are approaching the courts on
Yes.
a higher scale, and then those who are below this, they are not
Because
pursuing the
because
matter.
our hypothesis is our laws are not pro-poor. Our criminal justice system is not pro-poor. So therefore, we have to see whether people who are going to the court are rich, whether the people who are going to the court are poor. If they are poor, what kind of hardships they face, what is their income level, and what kind of cases they pursue. Because I know many people do not pursue many kinds of cases. In civil litigation, civil cases I am basically discussing. They don't pursue because they said it's not going to be any help. That's what I said in the beginning, only 5 to 10% people are accessing the court in this country. This is a serious data, I don't know if it disturbs you or not, it disturbs me very much. 5 to 10% people are accessing the courts. Just 5 to 10. And judges are saying we are overburdened. I don't know what burden they are facing.
Maybe because of vastly populated country.
Vastly populated, we have vastly populated judges population also. In fact, I don't know if Harish discussed with you, he has shown that the number of judges is quite fine in our country. In fact, it is contrary. We have enough judges to dispose the kind of cases which are listed. You can look at it. This is a myth. We are living in a kind of myth. We think that judges are less and cases are.
They don't work.
And
They don't work. They have vacations. अरे गर्मी की छुट्टियां हैं. तो सब judges पहाड़ों में मिलेंगे.
And I'm making this in camera statement. I'm making this in camera statement that our previous Chief Justice of India, he cried over this.
मैं तो कैमरा में ही बोल रहा हूँ.
He cried over
Camera
this.
में
and
ही
he
बोल
wrote
रहा
this.
है.
No, I am saying, so actually
Because
somebody,
the
no,
feedback
this
is not there.
this is a very important observation. See, he made this statement and cry on camera. Had somebody like me met him, I would have told, no, you have enough judges. You must look at the research. If research-based information is given to him, he would have been satisfied. Harish contacted him and he said, it is like that I have unnecessarily cried on that. No, I am telling you, sometimes it is unnecessary to react. Because we are given, these impressions are given to you. आपको तो पता नहीं ना कि जैसे आपसे पूछूं मैं, how much crime we have in this society? हम तो सिर्फ जानते हैं कि बहुत ज़्यादा है या कम है. हम लोग बड़े अच्छे लोग हैं. We are very good people. We don't believe in much hype. हमें बता दिया गया है कि बहुत क्राइम है, तो हमें मान लेते कि there is lot of crime. How much crime we have? कितना होगा? देखो आप किसी को नहीं पता ये बात. आप देखो. You don't know how much. What is the crime rate of the country? National Crime Record Bureau, if you go by the statistics of 2015, I think if they publish crime rate on per lakh of population for IPC and for SLM also, special and local laws. So taken together, it doesn't go beyond 600. 600 per lakh of people. You are living in heaven. कहाँ 600 per lakh of population? There is crime. कोई जरूरत ही नहीं पुलिस की.
Sir, I just have an observation to make.
Yes.
So whenever we talk about the vacancies of the judges, so normally we consider about the Supreme Court, the High Courts, and here we are talking about the vacations which they are having. But we don't consider the subordinate court judges who constitute the majority of the judiciary.
They are actually doing all work.
They are actually doing the whole work, and that is one part that we don't talk about the vacancies there. Secondly, there is a lot of research about the number of judges who are there, but there is no research as such that what is the number of support staff to those subordinate court judges. Like if there is one judge, I'm not talking about Delhi, but the other states. In most of the states, there is a lack of support staff to the judges. Like if bench clerk is there, office clerk is not there. There is one peon, maybe no stenographer, and the judges have to write on their own. So maybe the efficiency of the judges is not that much, but again, the infrastructure and the support staff is also.
That discussion is there. I am not denying that discussion. But here I am on a different question. I am on this, that these things need to be seen at a level. It is, I always, I am always scary about one thing. I am quite uncomfortable when we make generalizations. Immediately we pass judgment. Politics is bad, judging is bad, justice is bad, everything is bad. Lower judiciary is bad, higher judiciary is. It is not safe to conclude like this. You can make statements only about the area in which you are living or you are aware of. Like I can study Delhi and I can say about Delhi. But we are looking at Delhi, but we are passing judgments on the entire country. This country is very big. It is highly unsafe to generalize anything. Like for instance, when I was in NJ, I think last year for a course, National Judicial Academy, there a judge has shown that the Kerala is follow a very different system. In Kerala, they follow the list system. So their disposal rate is much better. Their per capita disposal rate is much higher than all other states, though they are having much lesser number of judges as compared to other courts. So Kerala's specific way of doing, they have a different system of working. No, I'm not going into it because we are not into a law program as such. We are on a research methodology. Here I'm saying, if what is our ability to identify the precise. Imtiaz Ahmed Pradhan case मैंने भेजा है. Imtiaz Ahmed yesterday also the Harish has referred. In Imtiaz Ahmed, the Supreme Court wanted the Law Commission to look at dependency in the High Court, and they have come out with the most prone courts for pendency like Kolkata, Orissa, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and they were trying to know why the pendency is so much in these places. And this question was given to us here, so we have prepared it. Like, we do not have any method to do any research whereby we can specifically tell, look at, this court is having this problem and that this is causing delay. So many things. Generally, we try to look at very generally and very loosely we comment that this may be there. We are equally unsure. That's why our observations do not reach to the change, do not reach to the policy, do not reach to, because nobody is going to believe you. That's why in US and other places, Harish was saying, they have dedicated organizations who are attending to the precise questions. Like for instance, repeated grant of adjournment. What is the impact? Is it okay? Now, there is a one school of thought that no, adjournment must be given because it is the right of the accused. No matter how many times. How does it affect the administration of criminal justice? Unsure. No, I'll come to this. I'm just coming back because this is my core subject. I teach criminal justice. This is my main area. I'm very fascinated. Though I didn't utter a single word about criminal law in this thing so far because I am into a research methodology assignment at the moment. Sometimes you come and attend criminal justice issue related workshop, then probably we will be able to discuss more. I am just taking you to the development of questionnaire, how the questionnaire should be developed for empirical study. I'll not be taking much time because there is already time up. So several kinds of tools we can develop. How many tools you have in your kitty, in your toolkit? These are the issues I want. You must be knowing what are the toolkit. What is the toolkit that you have for your research? I have used observation schedule, rating schedule, document schedule, interview schedule. At least three are very important: observation, rating. Observation schedule. What is observation schedule? Can anybody tell me quickly? What is observation schedule?
So you have certain criteria to find out. You go to your train and you don't interact with people there. You just sit and observe that how people are behaving.
How to document and what is to be documented? Like I'll give you the best. Yes.
We already have a schedule made, and with that we go and observe the respondents, and whatever we observe, we just write it down. Then already framed schedule.
Observe the participant is also one of the methods of observation.
So right, observation, as I said, is the key of the empirical research. So what we do, the best example is suppose you take your students to observe the court proceedings. That is the example. So suppose students need to observe the court, how the cross-examination happens. So you give them certain things which they should observe. Like they should observe the defense lawyer, they should observe the prosecuting lawyer, they should observe the expert witness, they should observe the judge, they should observe the investigation officer. All. Now, what are the things to be observed as far as defense lawyer is concerned? Pleadings, arguments. Now, what is the nature of pleading? How they done? So many things. Idea is to document and plot. Actually, we just module में हाथ डाल के जाके देख के वापस आ जाते. We don't plot anything. So, plotting and collecting information through observation schedule is a very important tool. If you develop some expertise in collecting the information, suppose you want to understand the informal system of dispute resolution in a tribal society, and you are watching a hearing in a village, in a tribal community, and you are seeing how the things are disposed. Important thing in empirical research is the clarity with which you are collecting data. Because ultimately this data would become useful for your research. Major failure happens at this stage. I'm not saying you don't document. You do document the data, but probably you miss a lot of things because you have not developed this. This observation schedule can be developed beforehand. You go beforehand having tentative points in mind which you may like to observe. You can add there, but idea is it should be, like I have got a very recently done this study on the case disposal by the family counseling center in the police station in domestic violence. So my researcher, I have sent him with a observation schedule. Because you cannot collect the data because people are very uncomfortable if you start noting. So he is having just a small notebook type of thing, but he has plotted in very brief what is to be seen. And because it is a guided observation. अभी तो आप unguided observation करते हैं ना, unguided मिसाल जैसे कहीं भी चल पाते हैं. So it is a guided observation. You are sure about what is to be seen or observed. And if you are in a position, you can guide also. Like suppose you are guiding, जैसे अभी एक स्टडी यहाँ की थी, यहाँ है आप वो ले लेगा if you want. Corporal punishment. जो स्कूलों में corporal punishment होता है, physical punishment. So a study was done in the university. So we have sent the students researchers. अब उसमें क्या होता है ना कि you are contacting the school going children who are maybe 5th, 6th, 4th, 5th, 6th standard. Now they need to be interviewed and asked about their experiences, if at all any they have, about the corporal punishment. Now they will not tell you anything. So they were just made sit in a classroom, and the researcher has started one input saying कि आजकल स्कूलों में टीचर्स ने पनिशमेंट देना बंद कर दिया. उसने ऐसा एक डिस्कशन शुरू कर दिया. तो वो एक ने पोजीशन ले ली कि क्या बात करे सर, कल ही मारा. देन फिर उससे वो फिर पूछा अच्छा क्यों और किसी को तो नहीं कि इसको भी मारा. दो वहाँ क्रिएट एकदम आइडेंटिफाई हो गए 4-5 लोग. So how do they, when who, is there any particular teacher who does it or it? No, there is particular teacher. Maths teacher is always maths teacher. Then she will say how, when, how many times. Now she has stopped because parents make and the principal called or something. So you are in the process collecting so much of data that you have to plot in terms of in a very precise manner. So this is called focus group discussion, FGD. FGD is, coincided with the observation schedule because you are making observations. Like a study, I was the part of the biggest ever study on child abuse. आप पढ़ते हैं WNCD Ministry पे है, Ministry of Women and Child Development, child sexual abuse. This is fantastic. I think this is one model kind of research that we can look at. So most of the data on child sexual abuse was collected through FGDs. Child abuse, abuse and labor abuse, physical abuse. No, abuse data is very difficult to be collected. So they were put into a discussion. Have you heard public hearing? सुना है आपने? आप लोग मुझे इतनी शराफत से ना सुने, थोड़ी बातचीत भी करें। थोड़ा मुझे रिस्पॉन्ड भी करते रहे। Have you heard?
जैसे पंचायत में है
Public hearing, आपको पता नहीं है, public hearing recently has become one of the important ways of collecting the data. ये data collection especially the NGOs are doing it. मैंने थोड़ा study किया इस पे. So I have seen one NGO, मैं उसके साथ भी गया है, so they were doing a study on displacement, internally displaced people. So internally displaced people are many, they are in camps. So he has put them into a one camp, one kind of pandal kind of thing, and they were all made to sit. And now the researcher is raising the issue, whether the compensation was given, time was given, facility was given, and everybody is talking to him. सारा data collection वहाँ हो रहा है. The researches are conducted this way also. This is a new NGO methodology है.
How it is different from FGD?
नहीं, FGD का मैं बता रहा हूँ. FGD is better.
The public consultations that different regulatory authorities launch, for example, on net neutrality,
Yes.
So
Yes.
would that also qualify the public hearing?
Yeah, almost. Because hearing we say or consultation is, I think loosely they use this terminology, but exactly it is the same. But the point is FGD is much more micro and closer. In FGD actually it is never in a very big group, it is 5-10 group, and the issues are very, very sensitive, precise. Public hearing is generally you want to understand the mood of the people towards the authority, whether they are getting compensation. Then we actually that is the art. Researcher has to be very smart. He will understand what kind of voices are emerging. If you have a observation schedule already developed, हम लोग एक टेक्निक यूज करते हैं, pilot study. Pilot is very important. So suppose I have to go to the site of this kind where I am doing with displaced people. So I would first understand what are the general issues available which would be raised in 99%. I'll come back and develop my observation schedule, interview schedule in a manner so that I can facilitate the entry of all those issues into my questionnaire, observation schedule, or anything that I want.
But sir, in a public hearing, sometimes it can be misleading as well.
That's
No, so the ability to
Yes,
yes,
others-
it
others
is
can also
there.
say yes.
But see, you can understand the voices. Certain issues you can probe. There is a thing called probing. You know, probing is a method in social research. Like suppose I ask you, how nice are you a person? ये थोड़ी कहेगा I am bad. अब इसको प्रूव कर थोड़ा इसको how disciplined are you और how disciplined are you. So इसमें थोड़ा वैल्यू इन्वॉल्व है. तो लोग जनरली ये नहीं बताते, अपनी स्टोरी सब एडिट करते हैं. जैसे आपसे पूछो कोई बवाल हो गया, आपसे पूछो क्या हुआ था, तो आप इतना अच्छे से बताएंगे, उसमें आपका कहीं व्यक्ति नहीं आता, लगता आप इतने शुद्ध आदमी है संसार में, क्योंकि आपने अपना पार्ट पूरा एडिट किया अच्छे से. तो एक एडिटेड वर्जन आपके, मैं रजिस्ट्रार हूँ तो मेरे पास रोज आते हैं इस तरह के केसेस, बच्चे आते हैं इधर हॉस्टल में, उसमें ऐसा वो अपना इतना बढ़िया बताते हैं, उसमें कोई कहीं ऐसा लगता नहीं. अगर आप उसकी उस पे जाएं तो यू विल पनिश द अदर पार्टी विदाउट एनी. अब आप दूसरे को सुनिए, वो एक बिल्कुल एक ऐसी चीज लेके आ रहा व्हिच इज अनथिंकेबल. यू नो द गेम पीपल प्ले, एक बुक है बहुत शानदार, बहुत साल पहले मैंने पढ़ी, बहुत अच्छी किताब. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि ये कोई मैलाफाइड है या मैलिशियस. दिस इज हाउ ह्यूमन बिहेवियर फंक्शन. आप अपनी चीज आप कोई बता देंगे जो आपकी शॉर्टकमिंग है, उसमें थोड़ा सा संकोच होता है, और नॉर्मल भी है वो थोड़ा, आप अपना थोड़ी बताएंगे कि आई एम, तो प्रोबिंग करना पड़ती है उसमें. फिर एक हम ऐसा क्वेश्चन भी पूछेंगे जो इस चीज को कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी करेगा. आई कैन आस्क
validation.
So, Joe, in some studies, because I deal with chronological studies mostly, so my studies are generally like that, where people would tend to hide their actual indulgences in so many things. But I need to probe. So probing questions are creative. Probing questions are very important. They will validate, substantiate, corroborate whether it was there or not. So I agree that in public hearing, people will try to politicize, but then you understand what is happening, what is the mood of the people. Like for instance, survey kind of research where you have to capture the mood of the people. जैसे आप किसी से कहो कोई सर्वे करना है कि पुलिस डिसऑनेस्ट है, उसमें सर्वे की जरूरत ही नहीं, सबने हाँ पूरा सब डिसऑनेस्ट. People are, so that's what I am saying. The research involving human behavior is very, very difficult to do. Very difficult to do. Because values are involved, stigma is involved, so many things, social prestige is involved. That's why in India, on crucial issues, investor, the telephonic interviews are possible. You can do telephonic interviews on anything. Family discord, extramarital, any issue you can do easily the interviews.
The quantification of human behavior is almost
There because people don't have taboos, because they can discuss those things. In India too, it's a very different society. So therefore, that's why challenges of data collection in India are very, very, especially if you have taken up some difficult subject. That's why on difficult subject we don't have much research, because we don't have a primary data.
So in everything generally we are capable of counting the number of in public hearings, can we do that or do we do that?
देखिए हम कर सकते हैं उसमें थोड़ी सी it all depends on the research. जैसे मैं करके आपको दिखा सकता हूँ कैसे कर सकता हूँ. You should be knowing the range of issues first. Before going to public hearing, you must understand what is the range of issue. From that range, you leave the space for, like for instance, if I want to understand how much compensation was given to you for this displacement. Now I know the minimum figure, I know the maximum figure, I can categorize. So I'll create 5 categories. So suppose I am listening 100 people. So 20 are falling in category 1, 25 are falling into, 30 are falling in. Like that I can do. It may not be 100% accurate, but it would be near accuracy.
If we are going to public hearing, we should count the number of people, how many were there in the public hearing.
Yes, that is possible. See, you can do in different way. If you are able to, suppose you have made 100 people assembled. Suppose you want to, like RTI, suppose I want to do a study on RTI. To what extent the RTI is helping the local people in resolving their issues. So I have gathered 100 people. I have already decided the questions. They may say so many things. आप उनको सुनते रहिए. कुछ चीजें जिंदगी में सिर्फ सुनने के लिए होती हैं. उनको ज़्यादा एक्शन की जरूरत नहीं होती. आप सिर्फ उनको सुने. But you need to collect the relevant. और वो relevant को collect करके plot करना है आपको अपने question को. जो आप जिस उसको कई तरह से हम उसको checklist बना देते हैं. उसमें हम वो data plotting tables करते हैं. उसमें हम उसको mark कर लेते हैं कि this particular person falls in this category. So at least I'll be near accuracy when I'll conclude that 60% people had issues in getting their information from a particular public office. Without second appeal or first appeal, they could not get the information. How many in their first appeal could get? How many times the personal hearing was denied if it is RTI? कुछ भी आप बात करो, it depends.
So do we have to then, while writing, specify as to in a public hearing how many people we engaged in that public hearing, or simply we have to mention that this is a public hearing?
Both the things you can do. See, sometimes you can say I have had 5 public hearings. Sometimes you can say I have had 1 public hearing consisting of 50%. You can use 1 public hearing as 1 source of information. You can use 1 public hearing in terms of number of people present and use the data. Depend how you have collected the data. For me, 1 public hearing is one source of data. I'll not classify it. I'll only go by the 1 voice, majority voice saying whatever. Anyway, Now, when you create the question, it is the condition and important thing to see the pre-coded question. The questions must be pre-coded. If you are doing, and open-ended questions should be minimized and as less as possible, because open-ended questions create a lot of issues. Presence and absence questions, rank ordering questions, Likert type questions, index development. These are the types of questions that you need to use. I am just coming to you. थोड़ा टाइम कम है मेरे पास, मैं आपको बहुत क्विकली ये देखो, प्री कोडेड क्वेश्चन में बता दे रहा हूँ आपको. You need to create the categories: salary, wage earners, business. Now, why I have left this box? You take, and why I have given this 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4, because computer will read only the number. Computer will not read the text.
Just a second here. So in the questionnaire that we are circulating to the respondents, this code will already be there?
Yes, it has to be there. Pre-coded. I said pre-coded.
Okay.
Generally, if you have decided to use computer-assisted data analysis, where you intend to use SPSS, tomorrow you do. It is a requirement that your data, your questionnaire or interview schedule should be pre-coded. Pre-coded में sometime you don't know sometime these options. मैं आपको उसकी भी बात करूँगा. How that open-ended questions. Open-ended questions should be kept less and less. Minimize the number of open-ended questions. You got it? Why? You know why? Presence absence question. Have you ever had contact with a physically handicapped person in any of these groups? Circle. So this is the presence and absence. Community, yes. Family, yes. Relative, yes. This is called presence and absence question. These questions are, see, your interview schedule or questionnaire must be having variety of